Hey Beauty Squad, it's your girl TeeTee. Welcome back to my channel of all things life, love, and of course beauty. I hope you guys are having a great March. We are about halfway through it, if you can believe it. All the releases that have been coming out, I mean, it's just crazy, and there's more to come. So March has been a very busy month. But at the request of friends who are always looking for neutral colors, meaning, you know, lipsticks and eyeshadows and palettes to wear, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give you guys a list or show you guys some of my collection of neutral palettes that I think would look good on all skin types, in my humble opinion. And I picked a few here. And I definitely think these are palettes that can be used on any skin type. Doesn't matter if you're light, dark, in between, your undertones. I think these, and there's one that some of y'all might not agree with. I get it, you might not agree with it, but I'm going to add it anyway. So that's going to be last. So you'll have to stick around and see what that one is. But I'm definitely going to tell you some of the ones that I find that I think are neutral for all skin types. So before we get into my neutral palettes for all skin types, you know, collection, because we all know I have a ridiculous eyeshadow collection, and I've added a couple more since that video, and it's just out of control. But anyway, you're already here. Subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to like, comment. Let me guys know what you think, what you want to see, and all that. And I will do my best to bring it to you. I read all the comments, suggestions, the good, the bad, the ugly. I welcome all of that. So without further ado, let's get into this neutral eyeshadow palette collection, or my choices for all skin types. Stay tuned. Okay, so let's just jump into it. I have about, let me see, 3, 4, 5, 9, 10 actually eyeshadow palettes that I'm going to show you guys today that I think are relatively or neutral for all skin types. I'm going to start off with the Naked, the original Naked. I know it was discontinued, but there's a lot of us that still have it. I haven't used it a lot, as you can see. I'm getting a little low on some of them, and I've picked it up recently to use it again. But I definitely think the OG here is what this was the first palette of its kind. And I mean, just the packaging, the velvet packaging. I mean, there was just nothing like this when this came out, you know, over 10 years ago. And because everyone's always looking for neutral, it brings the neutral shades with a little bit of shimmer, with half-baked. And some of these colors they sold, you know, individually. And then they put them all together in a palette. So you got to give it up to the OG. And it's definitely a palette, I think, that is suitable for all skin types. My next one is going to be one from MAC. And this is In the Flesh. And I like this palette. And it is part of their permanent collection. And I've used it a few times. I'm not going to say I've used it a lot, because some of the colors I have in here already, but I like this palette. As a matter of fact, I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to use it. Talk about very neutral tones here. You know, their palettes, they put the names on the back. I'm not going to even go through all of them. It'd be so much easier if the names were there, but that's just MAC. But this In the Flesh, it came out a few years ago, and this was recommended by Sam Fine. I know he uses this palette a lot on like Queen Latifah and a couple other people he does makeup on. And again, it's got some great highlight colors here. Carbon, you know, which is MAC's black shadow, which is a great shadow for a smoky eye, some bronze, you know, and some shimmer palettes here. So I would definitely recommend this one. I don't remember how much it is, but I will say it's probably reasonably priced. I mean, if it was 30 bucks, there's about 5, 10, 15 in here. So it might have been a little more than that, but it's definitely a good one, and I recommend this one. The Narcissus. This is one of their palettes that came out maybe a couple years ago, and I still use This one, this is actually Narcissus Loaded is what this is. And I use this one, and I've actually used it a couple times recently. You can't tell, but I do use it. And I tell you, NARS does a good job at giving you the neutrals, but they also give you a pop of color like they did with this here, which is kind of like a copperish kind of color. But it's definitely a great everyday palette, I would say, for all skin types, and some great transition shades in here. Bobbi Brown. Now this is a palette I purchased as well too, maybe a couple years ago as well too, and this is her new drama palette. She did come out with another one recently. This one I use, again, another good neutral palette. I don't use it a lot because there's other neutral palettes that I have that I use a little more than I use this one. But it's this dark color here is like a brownish color. Instead of black, it's a brownish color. A great blending color, brownish gray, kind of color. She's got a lot of shimmers, in this palette. Some really nice, really shimmery palettes that, again, I think blend well on everybody. This gold here is nice. Let me just swatch this because I've worn that one. So her palettes, swatch, well, and it's kind of one of those, I use this palette if I'm going out someplace, and I might use it in conjunction with another palette, but I would definitely recommend New Drama. And she has another palette, and I just kind of like the packaging on this one. It's just really kind of cute and compact, and it's easy to travel with. And I think the newer one has like this pretty blue in it. I haven't picked it up. I look at it every time I go in Sephora, but I haven't grabbed it just yet. Then there's Pixie. Talk about, something that's reasonably priced. And I got this in a PR package. You see, I've used this a few times. This is the Natural Beauty palette. And I tell you, I reviewed this. This palette has pigment. It's got shimmer. I mean, for a drugstore brand, look at that. That is good shimmer there for a drugstore brand. This is a good one. The other one I believe is Reflex Light and has a little more color to it. But this, for an affordable eyeshadow palette, this is definitely a good one to pick up when you're in Target. Again, I don't recall the price on this one, but I'm sure it's probably under 20 bucks, I would say. But this one is definitely a good one. I reviewed this on my channel because I got it in PR, and I really like this one. And as I've said, I use this one. I've used it a couple times recently. You're going to work and you really don't want to have a lot of color on or use a lot of color. This is a good one. Again, something that's good for all skin types. We're going to get into some newer palettes. I'm going to say this Warm Brown Obsessions from Huda. This cute little palette here. Again, compact, $27. And I've used this one. Don't be afraid of the colors in this one. This bronze here is pretty. This palette, all these little palettes from Huda, look at that. That is some nice pigment there. Very nice pigment there. Her warm brown here. Look at that brown. That's one swipe there. This is a good palette. It gives you the neutrals. You blend these colors and it'll just blend very well and seamlessly and give you just a hint of color to kind of liven up your natural look that you're going for. But of the palettes that she has like this is, to me, in my opinion, the more neutral one. Hence the name, Warm Brown Obsession. So this is definitely a good one to pick up. One palette that I absolutely love, I reviewed it last summer or so when it came out. I used this one, the Brown Sugar from ColourPop Karuchi Tran collaboration. This is probably, again, small and compact. This is probably the neutral palettes that have come out recently. This is probably my favorite one. And again, I use this one. And it's got, great, this kind of like orangey, clay color, this brown red here. Then you have your shimmers here in the middle. So you have all your mattes here on the outside and all your shimmers in the middle. It's a great, great palette. And not only that, but it retails for $12. You can't beat that. It comes with a mirror. It's got the names, you know, underneath the pan. I mean, this was a great collaboration, I thought, ColourPop did, other than the Makeup Shayla collaboration. I thought was just, those two were my favorites. But this brown sugar palette, again, it's $12, and I think ColourPop is having a sale right now. You can't really beat it. You'll probably get, what, 20% off? You'll save some bucks. It's worth it. Great, great, great neutral palette for all skin types, in my opinion. The NARS Skin Deep palette. I've said this one. I reviewed this on my channel here. I use this one. I'm wearing it today. It's still a little hard to open. I've worn this a few times recently. I've said a couple times I have not been able to put this palette down. This is definitely right behind my brown sugar. I absolutely love this this palette. I tell you, these two bigger shades here are often my two shades that I start off with, my transition and my building shades here. These shimmers are really pretty. Let me just swatch a couple for you. I had to find some room on my hand here. That right there, that color, I don't see the colors are on the back, but I'm going to say, ooh, I don't know what that is. Faster, Faster Pussycat is the name. And then the bronze next to it is Calendar Girl, which I used, you know, today too. That's Calendar, wait, Calendar Girl there. This I think was $38. I'm going off memory here. It wasn't that bad. It's a great palette. I know I've watched a lot of people review and rave about this palette, and I had already purchased it after, you know, watching some of those videos, and it's definitely a must-have that you should definitely have in your collection. Now, I spoke of the ColourPop Makeup Shayla palette, and I've raved about this palette. And to me, it's a good neutral palette. If you want to add some color or, you know, put some little bling, you know, to your, you know, neutral eye look, you've got September here, this pinkish color. This blue here, Stallion, I wore the other day, and I got so many compliments on this blue. I usually start off with these two shades and then just blend in some color. But again, this is, I mean, $12. Great palette. I should probably get another one, even though it doesn't look like I've used it, but I've actually been using this one a lot lately too. But this is definitely a favorite. I'm gonna, again, you know, I like neutral with a little bit of color, and I've got to say the Safari Rain palette from Colored Rain, because I think the colors in here, they're not, you know, they can be toned down with this color here, which I believe is Matriarch. You know, this blue, this green here is not as intimidating as it looks. Neither is Green Valley here. Now, this color here, Tigress, is pretty. This will add a little bit or give you that pop of color, and it's pretty. I think it's a great everyday palette with a little bit of color and bling to it. I love this palette, and I reviewed it recently. I'll link the review of this, and this retail for $39. I mean, you can't beat it, and the pigment in this is unmatched. But that's Colored Rain for you. Just bomb ass palettes with pigment, I will say. Okay, the last one, a bit controversial. Don't want to say controversial, or everybody may not agree with me on this one, you know, in saying that it may not be all skin type friendly, but I think it is, and everyone's entitled to, you know, their opinion and what they think. But I'm going to say the Huda Nude palette. It's the New Nude palette, and because it has, you know, some lighter colors here, you know, I've used this one, you know, recently too. When we went out, I used this one. I used it last week, you know, when I went to work as well too. And I say it's neutral for all skin types because it definitely has a lot of muted colors in here. You know, this color here, this is Love Bite, this purplish kind of color. And then Spank next to it, you know, a dark soft pink color. Teddy here is a brown, great, you know, transition shade. And then you have your shimmer shades here. And when I wore this palette last week, I mixed these two colors here up at the top. And then I just put this on the lid. This color, Kinky, there on the lid for just a little bit of color. And this is it right here for just a little bit of color. And I think, you know, I have this on my list because I think it's a new spin on nude versus, you know, the other palettes that I have here. They're new. They're all similar in color, right? Some of them have some other colors, you know, in them to kind of break the mold of something that's nude or natural, where they add like pops of color. But, you know, this New Nude palette from Huda, which I believe retails for 65 bucks. I mean, this is definitely a splurge. You know, Natasha Denona just came out with a new palette. It's $129. So this is like half the price, you know, of that. But, you know, it's on the list because I do think it looks well on all skin types, in my opinion. You guys could, you know, prove me wrong. Tell me, contradict me, and tell me, you know, something different. But I'm going to say my top neutral palettes that I would recommend: NARS Skin Deep, Brown Sugar from ColourPop, the Karichi Tran, the Safari Rain palette from Colored Rain, and the Perception palette from ColourPop. I mean, these are staples that stay with me, and they're within arm's reach as well too. So, which means they're in arm's reach, which means I use them pretty regularly. They're there because I use a lot of natural neutral colors, you know, going to work, and I'll, you know, sometimes mix them up, you know, and take one color from another palette and just kind of mix it up a little bit. So, but let me know what you guys think. What are some of your favorite, your favorite, you know, neutral palettes? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one, because I know a lot of people like this. A lot of people thought it was good for all skin types, but then there were some that didn't think they were for all skin types. But let me know what you guys think. What are some of your favorite, you know, neutral palettes that you go to all the time, that you reach for, that's like right here within, you know, reach? Let me know what you guys think. Would love to hear your thoughts on on this one. That's my neutral eye palette collection, and what I think neutral palettes for all skin types. So let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to subscribe. Please like, comment. Would love to hear your thoughts. If you agree with some of these, or if you think there should be others added in here as well too. So let TeeTee know what you think. Until next time, TeeTee is out. Bye.